was very interested in having a degree. You know, having a GED was really something I wanted to do, ironically for my mom. But I wanted her to see her son was more than a high school dropout. So that's what brought me to CCRI, and it was just a wonderful experience.
It was understood that you needed a good education in order to get a good job, and therefore it was a necessity. I attended the Warwick campus, and at that time it was fairly new, and it was very exciting for me at the time.
We were always encouraged to go on with our education. We had a strong family, but there wasn't a lot of money around, so the Community College of Rhode Island was a great opportunity for me. But I didn't really look at it that way. I really looked at it because it had the computer studies program that I really wanted to go into.
I made a promise to my brother, who was wrongfully convicted of a crime, and I promised him that I would go back to school, eventually ending up in law school to help prove his innocence. At the time, I had a GED. I'm in my 30s at the time, I had 2 children, and it was a scary thought to go back to school. But CCRI was the answer because, of course, I was a high school dropout before.
I did take the political science and international affairs, which really did get me more interested in politics and what was going on.
I mean, I took everything from theater, algebra, to ceramics.
I think the more classes and the more diverse they are, they help you focus on what you want.
I remember I had to take psychology courses and children's literature courses and history courses and all of the things that make you a better rounded person.
But I took a jazz appreciation class that I loved, and to this day I'm a great fan of Mr. Kaplan. And I could just remember sitting in his class, boy, I hate to admit this, but I want to say that the music was played on phonograph.
The professor who probably had the biggest impact was Don Paquette, who was a tough teacher. And you know, when you get a little bit older and you look back in life, you find it's your toughest teachers that are the ones you respect the most and probably taught you the most. And I later got to work with him on a committee here at CCRI when I was working for the Information Academy, when we brought the Cisco Academy back here to CCRI. They had companies come in at the end of the term to interview you for positions, and the big job was a job at Amica. That was a big job, or you know, a job at Citizens. And Don Paquette suggested that I interview for the Citizens position, and I did. And they were interviewing people for this brand new technology called automated teller machines, ATMs. And I just remember thinking, I don't know if they're going to catch on. I don't know if I want to go into that field. So I passed that opportunity for another job opportunity, but I look back and say, you know, I think you know, Mr. Paquette had another view on things that I just didn't quite catch at the time.
I always think of the oral communications class because I was really afraid of that class. I was not a person to get up in front of people and talk. I was rather shy. I still am shy, actually. So that class, and you had to get up in front of people and talk to them. And I can remember it was the demonstration class. They had to get up, and I actually made a Caesar salad for, you know, in front of everyone. I was so nervous before coming to class that I got sick. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I have to get up in front of this class. So now that I get up in front of hundreds of people and speak, I can't believe that I'm the same person.
While I was working, attending school at night, I had taken some speech classes because of our terrible R's in the state. Eventually, when I had children, my daughter had a hearing deficit. That's when I knew that I needed to get the degree for a speech-language pathologist.
So I actually spent 4 years at Rhode Island College. One of the things that I had to do was I had to have a 300-level math course in order to graduate. I was going to get a 300-level math class, and you know, you can barely do algebra 2. And this is probably when I knew I was going to be a lawyer, for sure. So what I did was I took 2nd grade math. I said, how can I do that? Rhode Island College is a teacher's college. I took the class that the junior and seniors who were going to be teachers and teaching mathematics, elementary mathematics to students, I took that class. It was a 300-level mathematics class, but it was sort of theory and comprehension behind relatively simple mathematical concepts. And so that's how I got my 300-level math class, because other than that, it was not going to happen. I had a classmate, and we shared something in common at the time. We were both kind of cocky. So I said, so who are you? He says, my name is Vinny. And I said, what are you going to do? He said, I'm going to be the champion of the world. I said, really? He said, yeah, me too. I'm going to be a lawyer. We were all searching for something. There were athletes here whose skills were tremendous. Their grades weren't. So they were working on trying to get to that next phase in their life. There were people here who were terrific students and who just weren't ready for a four-year college, and so they came to CCRI. There were people who were older students who just was trying to make that change in their life.
I think it gave me the start that I needed and the confidence I needed to go on, because it was my first step towards my goal. And if I didn't overcome that hurdle, I wouldn't have been where I am today. I think the people here made it quite easy for me. They gave me a lot of confidence.
I had gone to a Catholic grammar school and high school, so it was totally different, you know, to have guys at school and be able to study all kinds of different subjects. It was very exciting.
The hub of social life was the cafeteria, and it appears that it still is. Only now there are guitarists sitting at the tables who are playing their music.
We had a table in the grand hall where we'd all meet, and you could easily arrange rides back and forth, and we'd work our schedules out to do that. I was here almost all day, every day. It was rare that I left any earlier because I wanted to use the computer lab time.
They had bands perform, and I remember it being in the spring and just sitting out there listening to music and, you know, trying to get some work done.
I also run something called the Project Safe Neighborhoods, a PSN program, and a component of that, one that was created with a couple of colleagues of mine, is called Street Smarts. I'll go into middle and high schools, and I give a anti-gang, anti-gun, PowerPoint, interactive presentation. And over the past 4.5 years, we've presented over 20,000 students at the middle and high school level.
In '98, the person who held my seat was leaving, and so I decided I would try it. When I have the children come up to the State House, or even when I go into their classrooms, reading week, I always make it a point, I go in reading week, and I pick a subject, school uniforms, homework, how would you vote? And then defend how you feel, and tell me why, and convince your classmates why they should think the way you're thinking. And I think it gets children involved, and I think the more involved they are, the more they'll be able to be civically engaged.
My family's always been a family that's been involved in supporting community and supporting these kind of efforts. I've been involved in things like the Information Academy that we started here at CCRI to bring Cisco to high school students. I've gone back to Rogers High School, where I first was involved with computers at their Career and Technical Center and served on an advisory council there. Currently, I'm spending Saturdays at Habitat for Humanity. We're building a building in Newport. I actually go there because I get to go there and someone gives me orders. So it's very different from my day job. I don't have to give orders. I take orders from very talented people who can tell me how long to hold something and where to put it.
I got involved with the Innocence Project while I was in law school, because when I did finally make it to that law school, and I learned about DNA evidence and the Innocence Project and Barry Scheck. There were hundreds of people on the list, and it could take years before he could help me, although he said he would. I graduated, passed the bar. I started looking for the evidence I knew I needed for DNA testing, because I knew if we found that evidence, that is the key to Kenny's freedom. So I found the evidence, and I called the Innocence Project back, and when they found out that now I'm an attorney and I found the evidence, I went to the top of the list, because Barry Scheck now became a consultant. I didn't need him to do all the lawyering, I just needed some help, and he helped me free my brother. I feel like I get to be the person that will help other innocent people in prison. Like, that's what I hope this movie will bring to people, to show that there are many people in prison that are innocent. I love the Innocence Project. I will always be involved.
No matter what you do, you need to get an education. And to start here is one of the best places I think that you can start.
I think the way that the CCRI program looked at it holistically and had a degree program in place, not just the technology, benefited me greatly.
I mean, I loved CCRI. I think I was very nervous about, being an older student, but I felt very welcomed here. I felt that the professors and everybody that worked here worked extra hard to help everyone, including myself.
The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a first step, and CCRI is like a lot of really terrific people's first step, and so very grateful for that.